Okay, what's up, you guys? Before we jump into the breakdowns, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about the podcast because people keep asking me questions about it. The podcast is still on, you guys. I just wanted to wait until there was another big fight to do one afterwards so that we can have a lot to talk about. Giga Chikadze versus Calvin Kattar is a good fight, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't big enough for me to really just base an entire podcast around. But the next one's going to be fun, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about the flyweight fight real quick before we get into the heavyweight. So everybody has been underestimating Deiveson Figueiredo and telling me that he doesn't have a chance to win against Brandon Moreno. That couldn't be further from the truth. I really should tell you guys and really remind you guys that I thought he beat Brandon Moreno the first fight. I thought the second fight, the rematch, shouldn't have even happened. Although it was a close fight, yeah. I thought Figueiredo won. I thought he clearly won, but they gave it the draw anyway, and a lot of people really agreed with it. I don't know, I thought it was a little weird. That shouldn't get overlooked though. Deiveson Figueiredo is very capable of winning this fight. It's just that he has problems, man. He has problems and he has holes in his game that Brandon Moreno can just capitalize so easy off of. To put it plain and simple, I think Brandon Moreno has his number. Honestly, I think he has his number. Brandon Moreno could put a pace on Deiveson Figueiredo and tire him out. Brandon Moreno could just push Deiveson Figueiredo back. I think that is his biggest thing, is to not let Deiveson Figueiredo just have the center of the octagon and you just back up and let him bring the fight to you and just be open for a brawl. I just don't think that you should fight like that. I think he should fight very similar to how he did last time. Establish a jab. I mean, he chinned Deiveson Figueiredo in the second fight with a jab. That's pretty worrisome whenever you think about the weight cut for Deiveson. But, yeah, I think that Brandon Moreno should really just put a pace on Deiveson Figueiredo, because I don't think that Figueiredo is going to be able to keep up with it because of the weight cuts and the fact that he's growing out of this division. And he's 34 years of age. All those factors, you factor that up. This may be Brandon Moreno's division, and I think that he's going to make a statement this fight that this is his division and he is the reigning defending king and he is here to stay. As for Deiveson Figueiredo, I think he should move up to bantamweight and chase a fight with Cody Garbrandt, you know what I mean? So, yeah, there's that. Now we can move on to the heavyweights. Okay, so now let's move on to the juicy stuff. Let's move on to the heavyweights, and we're starting with Ciryl Gane. Now, a lot of you guys should be familiar with Ciryl Gane, but if you're not, we're going to just break down his style very simply here. Okay, so if I can compare Ciryl Gane's style best to anyone in the UFC, just to kind of give you guys a rough idea, it's Wonderboy Thompson. I think he's like a heavyweight Wonderboy. Even the way he bounces around, it's very similar to Wonderboy. It's kind of like a karate-esque style where he's just constantly bouncing on his feet. And the reason why he's so light on his toes so that he can just simply use his footwork to just easily get out of the way and avoid strikes. The other thing that is very inapparent when fighting Francis Ngannou in particular is a piston of a jab. Ciryl Gane has a heavy thudding jab to where if you try and enter in on him, you're going to eat a jab. If you try to play the distance game, he's going to kick your dang leg or kick your body. The teeps to the body, the freaking body kicks. All these things are useful tools in terms of striking in the heavyweight division because a lot of these heavyweights just haven't ran into anything like it striking wise. Just ask Derek Lewis. He's never fought anybody with that type of striking skill until he faced Ciryl Gane, and we've seen how that fight go. No, and I don't want to hear him talking about, oh, he fought Alexander Volkov. Alexander Volkov got outstruck soundedly, in my opinion, by Ciryl Gane. So I don't even want to hear that excuse anymore. So, yeah, we know that this guy has good footwork, good movement, good speed for the division, good boxing for the division, moves around like a freaking bantamweight. We know these things. His experience is a little lacking, but does it really matter? This guy is getting better with every fight that he's been in, and I think he's only had 10 mixed martial arts fights, and he's improving in every single fight that he gets in. I think this guy gets less and less and less hittable the more that he goes to the octagon. Not to mention this guy is active. He's always in there, and he's always looking to improve. Always. And that is going to be something that is a nightmare for Francis Ngannou. And now we move on to Francis Ngannou. There isn't just a ton to break down here other than this guy has power in his hands. Now, Francis has made a lot of improvements lately. We really seen that he has developed solid takedown defense and that he's much bigger than every opponent that he faces in the octagon. We know that he has power. Come on, guys. Like, it doesn't take a freaking rocket scientist to figure that out either. Arguably the hardest hitter and the heavyweight division, although I can make a solid argument that it's actually Derek Lewis. Regardless, I feel like he is much more technical than Derek Lewis, though, whether or not he has more power in his hands or not. He's much more technical in my opinion, and a much more better skilled kickboxer. Francis Ngannou's kickboxing is a bit slept on because he can get very sloppy at times, especially when he's tired. But he's mainly focused on being more patient since his last fight with Stipe Miocic, and that is something that can't be overlooked. Francis picks his shots now. Patient Francis is the scariest version of Francis, and arguably the best version of Francis. He showed bulletproof takedown defense in that fight with Stipe Miocic, and was able to reverse position and to get the best of Stipe Miocic in the grappling, mainly because he's just so dang big, but also because he's improved in those areas. Francis, when humble, is also very good, very tactical, good at setting traps. And really, his fight with JDS is where I was really apparent in his improvements in his kickboxing skills. He throws calf kicks now, very thudding calf kicks. I mean, I bet those things probably feel like hell. Yeah, and you look at all these things, Francis Ngannou has really improved. One thing we don't know is his gas tank. It hasn't really been tested since the Stipe Miocic fight. I mean, all of his fights have ended in 2 rounds, under 2 rounds. And before the Stipe Miocic fight, I believe he had an octagon time amount of 3 minutes or something like that. Insane. Before he fought Stipe the second time. Insane. That should speak to the level of power that this guy carries in every single punch that he lands. Also, that power doesn't really go away. He gets tired, and yes, it could drain a little bit, but that's not the average heavyweight's power. Whenever he's tired, he still have above average heavyweight power and can knock you out with any blow. So, yeah, his power doesn't really go away. He's always dangerous. But let's see who I think is going to win this matchup. Okay, so you guys, so I really don't like predicting these fights, man. This type of one, because you got one guy who has an X factor in his hands who he can literally put you out with one blow that lands cleanly. And then you got a guy who moves so swiftly like Ciryl Gane and has just such a high level of kickboxing for the heavyweight division. It really is a coin toss. I really mean that. But I'm going to say this. Ciryl Gane has so many more ways to win than Francis does. I mean, Francis really has just that knockout blow. And, you know, like, yes, it could land cleanly. And if it does land cleanly, you're likely going out, sure. But it's just that he hasn't fought anybody who can strike like Ciryl Gane, man. And I've been saying this for a minute. Remember, I made a video saying that Ciryl Gane could expose Francis Ngannou. Because I'm going to say this. If Ngannou can't knock Ciryl Gane out, he's going to get picked apart. Especially when he gets tired. Because you want to know something that Ciryl Gane has that other opponents hasn't used against Francis Ngannou because they're just so scared? Is a good thudding jab. Keeping a jab on Ngannou's face, because the way Ngannou gets into exchanges, he holds his chin in the air and kind of just swings with all power. You put a jab in his face, it's gonna halt him. It's gonna literally stop him in place. And Ciryl Gane has that. And if the jab doesn't work, if Francis keeps swinging amidst the jab, which I don't think he could, Ciryl Gane is just simply gonna move out of the way. Move out of the way. Francis is going to have to crowd him and just throw a bunch of shots. Francis is going to have to throw more than he typically does in order to catch Ciryl Gane, because it's just going to take that. And the thing is that if he keeps missing, the more and more Francis miss, the more and more he's going to get shut out, the more and more he's going to get frustrated and try to throw more. That's just how I see it. And if Francis tries to play the distance game after trying to catch Ciryl Gane and eating a bunch of jabs, I feel like once that jab lands, it's going to shock him. It's going to be like, oh, okay, I can't just walk through this. He's going to either get jabbed in the eye, get jabbed in the nose. That nose is going to get busted. He's going to get frustrated. He's going to start to panic. His mouth is going to start opening. He's going to start breathing through his mouth and just continuing to swing and swing and swing more until something finally lands. And with Ciryl Gane, that punch could never land, and he just continues to swing. Francis will then get tired, and then he's going to be forced to wait back and just wait on Ciryl Gane. And Ciryl Gane is going to kick the leg, kick the body. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the only boxing exchange Ciryl Gane has is just the jab. And he just kicks, he just throws kicks to the body, kicks to the leg, and teep kicks. That's another thing. Teep kicks to the body. Nobody can teep kick Francis Ngannou to the body to the amount of skill that Ciryl Gane has. Sorry if that didn't make any sense. But Ciryl Gane has a good teep kick, man. And that's going to stab Ngannou to the body. And that's going to really drain that gas tank. I never even thought about that. That teep kick is going to take the air out of him. And if Francis Ngannou tries to sit back and pick his shots, Ciryl Gane is just going to kick that leg. And he's never going to get into an exchange first with Francis Ngannou. He's going to stay safe. Completely stay safe. So it's going to be down to whether Francis can catch Ciryl Gane. That's really how I see this fight landing. And is he going to tire out before he can catch him? What do I always famously say? I cannot bet on a fighter when that fighter's only chance to win is to knock the other guy out. So you guys, I'm forced to go with Ciryl Gane. I think Ciryl Gane is going to beat him. And I think the hype is real. And also, I've been seeing, I know a lot of other analysts been breaking this down, but apparently Francis Ngannou's head isn't in the game. This guy's been calling out Tyson Fury. He's been getting into arguments with this guy's coach, arguments with the UFC. Apparently, he has a bad ego. Dana White mentioned this, actually. He actually mentioned this a while back. I don't know if you guys remember that. But yeah, apparently Francis is probably overlooking Ciryl Gane, which is really bad. You know, Ciryl Gane has been putting his nose in the dirt and been grinding. I don't know if Francis has. So that could be a key thing to look out for. But ultimately, I gotta pick Ciryl Gane. I think the teep kicks to the body, the teep kicks to the knee. Anytime Francis tries to get close, jab and run away. If Francis tries to stay back, kick to the leg, kick to the body, teep kick to the knee, teep kick to the stomach, jabs all day until Francis gets tired and gasses out. That's what I see. So I see Ciryl Gane winning a point fight. I believe that he'll win on the judges' scorecards, probably like a 49-46 or something like that, or a 44-49, 44-50. One of those things. I could see one of those things on the judges' scorecard. Him handedly beating Francis Ngannou. Unless Francis catches him and KOs him, but I'm going with Ciryl Gane. Let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Trippy, and I'm out, man. And I can't wait for UFC 270.